I've been getting a lot of ads and hearing commercials for meal kits lately. You know, where you pick 3 to 5 dinners and then they send you the food all prepped out and you just follow the recipe. I haven't used any of these since I was cuffed, and that was a minute ago, so I don't know why I'm getting targeted. They're also really seductive and sexual while simultaneously feeling like they have nothing to do with the food. They catch me off guard every time. Rather than play one for you, I've decided to just give you my interpretation of what I've been hearing in these meal kit ads. Tired of boring old cereal? Sick of your canned soup sticking to the pot? Worn down from trying to translate the measuring cup, having never been taught the metric system for some reason unique to Americans? X out of Pinterest and try meal kits. The meal managing kits that do all the work for you. Almost. First, log on to our website where you'll fill out an invasively specific survey. Hope you have your social ready and know your grandmother's maiden name, because Meal Kits doesn't miss a beat. In our questionnaire, we want to provide you the best meals possible, so our options are endless. If you're single, Meal Kits offers our brand new and just like that package. You'll get 2 portions of every meal, but when you go to reheat the second round, it'll be lacking all the flavor and spice of the first time you had it. That's right, and just like that, will leave you a little unsatisfied. In our couples kit, things get crispy because every meal packs a crunch guaranteed chewy fireworks explosion going off in your mouth to drown out the sound of your partner reminding you for the 800th time that they hate cilantro. You'll never remember. Ever. And lastly, for our ethically non-monogamous package, we provide extra aluminum foil in your kit to give your freshly prepared meal that sitting covered on the stove waiting for them to come home from their date taste. You know the one. All our meal kits come with next day delivery and a $10 off referral code for you to share with a friend. Plus a 30-day money back guarantee. Ethically non-monogamous, available in vegetarian and vegan.
Time for
the
Rocket
Welcome to the Rocky Rundown, where you get to learn a little bit about my week. Party God Squad, hello! How are you? Did you have a good week? My East Coast squad, were you cozy for the storm, or did you walk 15 minutes to the gym to get your sweat on during the flurries only to find out that the gym was closed? Just me? I did call them twice to see if they were open and no one answered, so also a little on me. I'm not surprised. I've had kind of a mixed up week. First, I found out that I've been paying for not 1, but 2 Hulu accounts for 2 years. Yes, that's right, both commercial free, one at $11.99 and one commercial free at $12.99. I don't know what the other dollar goes towards, but I assure you I haven't been reaping the benefits. How did you not notice this on your bank statement? I imagine is what you're asking. It's not on there, okay? It's connected to my iTunes, and I don't know what account that's connected to, and last I checked, my name tag doesn't say Nancy fucking Drew, so this case is closed. 25. Combined, the 2 Hulu accounts were logged into 25 different devices. There's been a lot of talk about Spotify this week. Neil Young took his music off Spotify because he's pissed that Joe Rogan spreads misinformation about COVID. I'm under the impression that he doesn't want Joe Rogan to be taken down, just the episodes that have false COVID information. This is a hot button combo. I am a hot button woman. People are talking. So I say to my brother and Kaylee, wild, Neil Young took his music off Spotify in protest of Joe Rogan. My brother responds, what does Neil Young sing? This is where I become elitist, semi-dramatically outraged. You don't know who Neil Young is? He is the greatest, coolest, one of the best songwriters of all time. On the road again, life I love is making music with my friends, and I can't wait to get on the road again. I mean, you don't know Neil Young? I just saw him in concert. Turns out this whole time I thought Willie Nelson was the one taking his music off Spotify. Oops. Luckily, I have a heart of gold. Broadway's back in a real way. I saw the musical Company on Wednesday, and the house was jam-packed. Uncomfortably jam-packed, some would say, but I would do it again. I'd only heard a little about the show before I saw it, but the gist is that a 35-year-old single woman is celebrating her birthday, and she's navigating dating and being single in a sea of couples, all while wearing a red power suit and what looked like some fresh-ass ones. And if they weren't ones, they were still fresh. It was such a good show. Broadway legend Patti LuPone was also in it. There's a part where the main character, Billy, she's hooking up with this guy, and her friends were all worried she was going to die single and alone. I only relate to half of that scene. Which half? You'll never know. That brings us to Rocky's highest thoughts, my most stoned thoughts of the week. Number 1, raw cookie dough is an excellent munchy snack for me personally. I'm not recommending this to anyone because it can make you sick. I have been choosing not to get sick from it, and every couple days cutting a little sliver. This is my munchy journey. Number 2, are good smells that smell bad to you personally passed down through generations? Let me explain. I was on the treadmill, flex, and a woman got on next to me. Social distance is a hoax to her, apparently. And I could recognize that the perfume she had on was intended to be pleasing to those around her, but it was repulsive to me. Could our great-great-grandmothers have had beef and that's my trigger? What else could the explanation be? Number 3, if you don't think evolution for survival is important, let me explain why it is. I was having a coughing fit because I took a hit too hard off the bowl, and I was simultaneously trying to light some incense. My tactic wasn't working because my hand was going all over the place on account of the coughing. I changed the way I was holding the incense stick to accommodate my coughing, and the shit lit. That's evolution. That's survival. Be willing to change to win. And number 4, I had another bright idea for a dating app. It's called Tentative. It's for people who want to date, but they're tentative. You upload 10 pictures, and then you have to be compatible in 10 different categories. For each category you unlock, you get closer to securing that hot date to have queued up the next time someone asks you about your dating life. When you get to level 10, Tentative gives you a time, date, and location to meet your date. Let these algorithms work for us, people. My guest this week is none other than comedian Rob Smallwood. Rob's wild word was impulsive, so if you have the urge to do something without forethought, I suggest you wait until after this episode. He not only delivers in his Wild Night story, he lived to tell about it. If you haven't done so already, please like, share, and subscribe to the podcast. You can follow me on TikTok and Instagram at Wild Nights with Rocky, on Twitter at Wild Nights Pod. You can also subscribe on YouTube where you can watch full extended interviews with all of my guests and see our little faces. Thank you to everyone who has written a review on Apple Podcasts. It really does make a difference. And if you call yourself a member of the Party God Squad and haven't written a review yet, it'd be a lot cooler if you did. Look out for me on the upcoming episodes of the podcasts Why Am I, hosted by Greg Sowell, and longtime friends of the show, Jake and the Dingus, had me on as well. I had a lot of fun in both those podcasts, and if they're not out now, they will be out very, very soon, so keep your eyes and your ears peeled. Thanks for having me on, fellas. And now, please enjoy my Wild Nights conversation with Rob Smallwood. Rob, welcome. Thank you for doing the podcast.
Hey, no problem. Thanks for having me.
I'm excited to have you. You're a hoot and a half. And I got to be honest, I'm a little jealous of you right now.
Why?
Because I am in New York City looking out the window at a straight up blizzard.
Nope. No. I pass on all accounts. I'm not a snow person at all. No. So I don't envy you. Okay. Yeah.
Do not come here right now. I know. I love, it's my East Coast people. That's what keeps me in New York. It's my East Coast people.
You know, that's so funny you say that because like I am a very East Coast person through and through.
You're from Washington, D.C., right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So I despise anybody who's like, I'm from the West Coast, but the weather, it's the weather out here that keeps me here. That's literally it. So if I could just take everybody from the East Coast and move them here, I'd say this is the greatest city in America.
Well, I have to ask you, as a person who grew up on the East Coast, how do you handle these earthquakes over there?
They're not, my cousin came to visit, and we actually had one. They're not bad. They're not like, I don't know. I think snowstorms and power outages are much more dangerous than an earthquake.
Yeah, but what about how when a snowstorm and a power outage happens, everything stays where it is and nothing, the walls don't shake? You know how that happens?
Are you a fan of roller coasters?
I mean, I don't like the upside down ones.
Oh, well, okay.
I like these ones.
Well, there you go. That's literally what an earthquake is. For 15 seconds at most. At most.
I don't like it.
Seconds, it doesn't sound like a lot. That's a long time, but 15 seconds at most.
Where were you when you felt your first earthquake? Do you remember?
I was in my living room, and the photos started shaking on the wall, and I thought it was my neighbors. I thought just like they were jumping up and down or whatever.
Yeah.
And then my movie case started swaying back and forth. I was like, that's a lot of noise for people upstairs to be making.
Yeah.
And then the couch started to move. So it happened in sections around the apartment. And then the whole entire building moved a little bit. Ooh. And then I went outside, which don't ever go outside. That's the last place you're supposed to go.
Why?
I went outside because power lines, people driving, something could happen.
Gotcha.
A building could fall on you. But I went outside and everything was moving. I was like, oh, this is an earthquake. Mm-hmm. And it lasted for that was the 15 seconds right there, me discovering that it was an earthquake, and then it was over.
Wow. Well, I'm glad you said that tip about not going outside. Have you seen the movie Knocked Up?
Yeah.
They all run outside.
Yeah.
So that makes it look like it's a fire drill. They all go outside. Yeah. So East Coast people, if you are on the West Coast and experiencing an earthquake, stay inside.
Stay inside and get under a table or a sturdy door frame, which, to be honest with you, these buildings are so old out here. There's no such thing as a sturdy door frame. Ooh. That's not to scare anybody, but it's true.
Put that in the comment box for LA. Better door frames. Well, I don't know how I would behave in an earthquake. I don't want to say I hope to never experience one because I'd like to experience things, but you know what? It's on the bottom of my list of things I want to experience.
What is above that list? What's above that would be okay to experience?
Swimming with dolphins. Can I say that in 2022? I want to swim with the dolphins. You get canceled for saying that?
I feel like swimming with dolphins is way more dangerous than an earthquake because like a dolphin could take you under and that's it. Like that's literally it. You're drowning.
I never heard of that happening.
But it's a possibility. And that's what I'm saying. That's much more of a possibility than a horrible earthquake ruining your life.
I don't know. Throw me in the ocean. What happens to the ocean during an earthquake? Does it get affected?
The ocean floor. So that's what it is. It's I'm going to say this wrong and I'm going to sound like a nerd, but the tectonic plates are rubbing together. That's what an earthquake is. So that happens in the ocean floor.
Okay.
But when you're walking into the water, when you start to wade in the water, you're not at the ocean floor. So you don't feel anything. You're just in waves. That actually, you know what? That's what an earthquake is. It's literally wading in water. That's it.
Oh.
That feeling of like, what? That's what that is. Boom. That's all an earthquake is.
Boom. And you know what? Earthquakes, they beat to their own drum. Some people would even say that earthquakes are impulsive.
I would agree. Earthquakes are very impulsive.
Earthquakes are impulsive, and Rob's wild word was impulsive. So, Rob, the floor is yours. Get into your wild night story. I hope it involves an earthquake, but if it doesn't, I'm sure I'm going to be just as happy.
Unfortunately, it doesn't involve an earthquake, but I said it's impulsive because it's the most impulsive, crazy thing that I've done to date.
Okay.
Let me back up and just say that like whenever anybody does anything with criminal intent, generally there's like funding involved. Like you're doing it for money or you're doing it out of an emotion.
Incentive even.
An incentive, right. No one does a criminal act for fun. No one
Right.
just, unless you're a psychopath.
Yeah.
So this is back in, I want to say 2005, 2006. I had got my first car. It was my freshman year of college. It was a Saturn. It was a 1992 Saturn.
Oh
Horrible
my
car.
God, wait, I just have to say, my first car ever was also a Saturn.
Shut up.
Yes,
Really?
yes.
Okay, this is definitely going to be great.
Okay.
So this is like right around when Obama was getting into office and they were doing the cash for clunkers. Okay, so that's the scene. That's everything you need to know.
Yeah.
Now I'm on my way to go visit my friends back in my old hometown, and there was just 30 minutes up the road.
Okay.
And as I'm driving, my brakes cut out of my car.
Great.
And I had a manual, so I knew how to like shift down and like slow the car down. But in my mind, my pubescent 19-year-old heard the ad on the radio, trade your car in, get cash, get a new car.
Yeah.
I knew nothing about money concept. You're just young and stupid. And I was like, oh, I'll just go take this car. I'll trade it in and go get a new car. So I continued to drive that car all the way up 30 minutes to go see my friends, tell them what happened. I'm like, hey man, I need you guys to follow me. So it's my friend Jordan, Jerry, I'm trying to think, and Kyle. So there's now 4 of us. There's 2 in one car behind, and then my car, and there's somebody in the car with me. And we're driving now back an hour to a dealership to trade in this car. So I go to Saturn, and I'm like, hey, I want to bring this car in to you guys. I want to trade it in. I heard about that old cash for clunkers deal, and like, what do you got for me? And they laughed me off the lot. I mean, laughed. When you're on stage, not even on stage, say like you've seen a comedian and they don't quite get it. And when they're bombing, people are laughing that they're bombing. They're not laughing at them actually being funny.
Almost out of uncomfortability.
Exactly. It was that feeling. And I was like, I never want to feel that again. So they laughed me off. They were just like, this isn't, why would we, there's no way, your brakes don't work. It's a 92. We would never. And I was like, all right. Luckily they went out of business right after that. Anyway, but they told me to go to CarMax. And CarMax, what I now know about CarMax and what people knew back then is CarMax doesn't do haggling. They're just like, they look at your car. They're like, this is what your car is worth. Take it or leave it. And people were like, all right, well, yeah, I can sell my car and get money for it.
Right.
All this stuff seems very like tit for tat, right? Like I give you key cards, you give me cash, I leave. That's what it sounds like it's going to be. Right. Go down to CarMax. They got to do a full inspection. They got to open the car up. They got to look at the engine. They got to take the tires off. I mean, it's a 2-hour process for them to like mark this shit up. And we're sitting there for hours. I mean, 2 hours. And we're on the showroom floor, getting into Audis, getting into Mercedes, like, yo, this is the car I'm going to get. Like, again, no concept of money and what value is, just like a car for a car. Thought it was a trade and barter system. It's not. No. So guy comes in, heavyset guy. He's like, the Monsters Inc. lady with the glasses.
Who says Mike Wazowski?
Yeah. That was, I got the male version of that. Yeah. And he sits down and he like has this like long sheet. I'm like, this is unnecessary. Okay. I'm just trying to get a car. I don't need, like, I know the car is fucked up. That's why I'm here. Yeah. And he was like, all right, so here's all the things wrong with your car, and we're offering you $50 for your car. American, that's what I said. He said $50, and the 4 of us are sitting in there looking at one another like, he didn't just say $50. Like, that doesn't make sense. Cars don't just cost $50.
No, you could get a hot box for $50.
Exactly. So I remember Jordan, who was with us. He was very young. He was I think he was like 16. We were all 18, 19. Yeah. And he was like the youngest out of all of us. And he like bends over and whispers in my ear. He's like, Rob, for $50 you could blow up your car. And I'm like, Jordan, you can't just blow up. Stop. You can't just blow up cars. Yeah. So I was like,
someone had just seen Superbad.
Yes. So everyone is like, we're in the room, and I'm like, all right, I guess I'll take that. I thought I was going to get more because I was looking at that Audi out there, and that guy starts to laugh, but he laughs with that mouth, the Wazowski voice.
Yeah.
And it's very intimidating. So again, I'm 19. I don't know shit about shit. And he's like, just take all this paperwork to the window. They'll give you the exchange. I was like, all right, I'll take the $50. I got enough money to have another clunker, get another car.
Yeah.
Around, I'll be fine. Get to the window, and the woman's like, all right, it's going to take us 2 hours to process all this paperwork. And I said, 2 hours for $50? Give me my fucking keys back. I'm blowing this bitch up.
Yeah.
So we all hop back in the car that have no brakes. And then my friend's in their car. We drive an hour back to where I originally went. We stop at my friend's place. We grab a gasoline canister. We stop at another place and grab paper towels. And then we stop by this house party. We go inside. The music's playing, everybody's dancing, there's drinks, everything's fun. There's about like maybe 150 people in this house.
Okay.
It's like a party. And we stop the music, and I'm like, I'm about to blow up my car. And if somebody goes, no, you're not. Someone had a bat. I grabbed the bat. My other friends grabbed the bat, and we just start smashing in the car. We start smashing taillights, windshields, everything. And everybody, the crowd, like 100 people are out in the street cheering. Like it's insane. Everybody's hyped about this. We hop in the car with all this damage now done to it, and we drive to the demolition derby, which is now 20 minutes like outside of the town.
Okay.
Where they have like the crashes and races and stuff like that.
Wow.
And we cut the chain on the gate to let us in. So not only have I broken an entry already, trespassing. We turn the car off and we push it down into the pit. There are cars that followed us. So there's like 20 cars up on the ridge that followed us that are sitting up there as if they were about to watch a fucking demolition derby, where they're watching us about to commit another crime.
Yeah.
Music's playing, stuff like that. By the way, we have to pass through a neighborhood to do this. Mm-hmm. So to get to the demolition derby, you got to like pass through a neighborhood, and then you got to pass back out. And there's a fire station right there. All this is very important.
And everyone's coming from a teen house party.
Yes. It's insane.
It's not subtle.
Not at all. Not subtle. None of this was planned out.
Right.
So all I knew from growing up in Baltimore, there are serial numbers on everything. Serial numbers can be traced. They're on paperwork. They're everywhere.
Right.
Got to get rid of them. So I filed the serial number off on the windshield. There's on every car, there's a windshield serial number. And then there's a serial number in the doorway. And I thought that was it. We take the gas, we douse the car in gasoline, take the paper towels. And guess what? We forgot a lighter or a match or anything. So we're sitting there just taking in these fumes, and we're calling around trying to get people to come bring us like a lighter or a match or something like that. And there was this girl, Val. Val wasn't like, she was like the girl next door. She was like always like playing it straight, never went to parties, anything like that, but wanted to be part of the crew so bad.
Yeah.
So we gave her an address. She comes down and she's like, first, how did you guys get in here? And it's like, don't worry about all that right now.
The less you know, Val.
Yes. Do you have the matches? And she's like, yes. What are you guys about to do? And we're like, oh, we're gonna go blow up my car. Peels out. She's like, I gotta go. Leaves, peels out. So we go back to the car and we light the paper towel, we throw it in. Car just instantly goes up in flames. And we're all standing there like it's a bonfire, music's playing, we're celebrating. And it hit me on the way to go see my friends before my brakes went out. I filled up the gas tank. Completely forgot about that. And I screamed, hey guys, I forgot to tell you, I filled up the gas tank. And everybody hops in the cars, everybody peels off, and the car first explosion happens. Boom, big explosion. Whoa. We're cutting through the town. The lights in the houses are starting to fly on. The siren at the firehouse starts to turn on. We get on to Route 30, which is between right around Baltimore and this town Hampstead where everything was.
Gotcha.
And you look over top of the trees and it's this huge mushroom cloud, just a huge explosion. It was out of a movie. It was the most insane thing we have ever done. No one got hurt, which is very important. So it was fun. It was a night. We went back to the party, we got drunk, we passed out, we all had fun. Someone drove me home the next day, and then we didn't talk about it for 2 months just because we like didn't want anybody to find out, didn't want to get in trouble. It ended up in the paper. There was a city investigation between Baltimore County and Carroll County. There were cops going around to houses and schools and trying to figure out what happened. Apparently back then they didn't have cameras. Now, I told you all the things about serial numbers because I did not realize that serial numbers also go on engine parts.
Oh, word to anyone listening.
So now it's 2 months later. It's all been in the paper. My friends even went back to the place.
The scene of the crime.
The scene of the crime, which you never do, by the way. The frame was gone. Everything was gone. The only thing they found, and I still have it, is the emblem to my car. And I have it in a little keepsake. It's like stored away. And then 2 months later, a fire marshal and a police detective show up on my doorstep. And I'm living with my grandmother. Grandmothers are always like, not my baby, you know?
Yeah.
My grandmother was like, you did something, didn't you? I'm gonna lie to these cops, but we're gonna talk about this later.
I was just gonna say, she was covering for you for the cops. She was like, no, he wouldn't do that. But to you, she was like, motherfucker, I know you did this shit. You did this shit.
The cops come and what they said to me was, we have a partial of a serial number. They didn't have all of it. They have partial. So this is another important thing for all your listeners who are going to do some criminal activity. They had partial serial numbers off of the engine block, and they had 3 possible choices, and I just happened to be stop number 1. And I was like, I just left my car on the side of the road. That's not my car.
Yeah.
And I'm like, all right, well, we have 3 choices. We're going to go suss out and see where these other 2 people. And as soon as they said they'll be back, I crumbled. I mean, if this was the first 48, I'm giving up. Like I'm in. And I was like, okay, it was me. That was my car. Did anybody get hurt? What happened? And they were like, no one got hurt. We just want to make sure that like you didn't try to commit fraud, which I again had no idea I could have done.
Yeah.
I could have went to my insurance and been like, hey, my car was like caught on fire, and then got the money for it or something like that. Didn't even. So I'm not a great criminal. I want to just end that there. I'm just not good. So once I told them what, I was from college, the brakes went out.
Yeah.
And it was a drunken night with my friends. They had already knew who I was.
Yeah.
Because I was in the paper a year prior for being an unsung hero on my football team, of winning a scholarship, everything out of my town. So they knew who I was.
Yeah.
And so when they pulled up, they're like, well, if it is this guy, he couldn't have done this thing. And then I had done that thing. So this was the first and last time I experienced any type of white privilege, because they were like, we're not going to charge you. You're good. The fact that you even asked that if anybody got hurt is enough for us to know that this was just a night and we're going to let it go.
Yeah.
And it got swept on the rug, didn't go on my record, anything like that. And that was the craziest night of my life.
Wow. I have so much to say about this. The fact that you were like, that's the only time I experienced privilege from them. Like, do you ever watch the movie Remember the Titans?
Yes.
You remember this scene when they're like winning and winning? Not Gary Bertier, but like his black counterpart, the lead. What? And the cop like gives him a nod in the town when he's sitting in the car, and he just looks at him like, I wasn't expecting that.
That was my moment. That
was the same. It was like the 2 captains. I just remember Gary Bertier, but I remember the other guy. I just don't remember his name. I always remember he looked like 50 Cent though.
Yes, he did. I know who you're talking about, and I can't remember his name right now. God, that's bothering me.
But yes, that's what I'm picturing. You're just like, okay, you're gonna leave. Okay, great. I will see you later, but hopefully not. Well, I'm so glad you got out of that unscathed. I'm so happy that you got that wild experience. That's such a cool, like, even because no one was hurt. You weren't going to get any money for the car anyway. And you got this incredible experience where you got to see this like huge explosion. No one gets to blow up their car.
Exactly. Like it was that moment, it's just like, you look for those in movies, and then it's like, well, if that could happen in real life, what would that look like? And that was it. That was it for me. So
that was it. That's amazing. Now, did you get another car shortly after that?
Yes, I did. 2 weeks later, I had paid $500 to get another car to get me from point A to B, and it was fine. Everything was fine.
As a past Saturn owner, I have to ask you, did your car leak when it rained?
All the time.
All the time.
It leaked oil. It leaked any fluid that was in the car. For some reason, the tubes just like loosened up. I don't know. Those cars were god awful, and that's why Saturns don't exist anymore.
They don't?
No, the Saturns like they're gone. You'll see, if you see a Saturn on a road, that's somebody who's not having a good day or year or existence.
I just spit out my mouth. Oh my god.
Saturns are so bad. They're not great cars. I
didn't know that they were done for. I bought my very own Saturn. I worked at Kmart in high school, and I saved every single penny and bought my first ever Saturn. I think it cost me, I worked for probably, I don't know, almost a year and a half, saved up about $2,700 and got my first Saturn. That car, every time it rained, there would be puddles. So it always had this underlining mildew smell.
Yep. Always. You'd go into puddles, and I would do everything I could. That car lasted me. I got it my senior year of high school, same as you, 2005, 2006-ish. And it was a 96 Saturn named Pearl. And I had that car up until 2010. And it lasted that long?
It lasted that long. You know how it went out? It was finals week at school. I was in my senior year of finals week. And everything during finals week was silence, quiet hours, and nobody make any noise. And I was doing my laundry, and I'm walking down, and leading up to this moment, I had heard, like, I would be driving and my horn would just beep.
Oh shit.
My horn would beep. And I'd be like, I didn't press that. I didn't beep my horn. So it's finals week. It's a Sunday night. I'm doing my laundry. And I'm going down the stairs, passing the window, and it sounds like someone's laying on the horn. Laying on the horn. And I was like, that's my car. And it wouldn't stop. I put the laundry in. I went back into my room. It's still going. So I go outside, and sure enough, it was my car. And public safety's like, oh, could you turn this off? No, I can't. Obviously, if I could, I would. So AAA had to come and cut the cord. But then that was it for Big Pearl.
Damn.
Yeah.
That's some spooky shit. That makes me sound like your car was haunted.
Yeah. Yeah, it was definitely on its way out. So I feel you on the Saturn woes.
Yeah, they're not reliable cars. I mean, don't get me wrong. For my first car, it was fun. I could treat it like shit. I could drive. I mean, I remember my first accident was in that car. I just replaced the headset in it, and the whole dash came out while I was shifting.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's just, the car was junk. It was junk. But
junk.
I loved it.
I know.
Loved it for what it was.
Honestly, that car got me pretty far. I've driven up from Massachusetts. I'm originally from Connecticut. I've driven up to Massachusetts. I've driven up to Maine, back down, like all over. Yeah. It got me pretty far.
Damn, that's crazy.
Yeah.
I did not expect that. I've never heard of a Saturn lasting that long.
Yeah, it's been 13 years. It was a 13-year-old car, but I had it for 4.
That's impressive.
Well over 100K miles.
That is very impressive.
Yeah.
Maybe I shouldn't shit on Saturns that much. That's impressive.
Well, you know what? I think, honestly, Saturns are done with you. They know what you do to them. Saturns want no part of you. They want no they want no part of you. What was your next car after that? Did you say?
That was a Ford Escort.
Ford Escort.
Yes.
So that's a bigger car then, right?
It was no, the Escorts are like I guess they're two-door little hatchback cars.
Oh, okay, a two-door.
But it was like a 95. It was like, it was another older car, but it was fun. It was fun, had a sunroof. It was great.
That's awesome.
That one ended up getting water damage. I'm not great with cars. That one had water damage, and then the axles had rusted. It was just, but that one got me through college for a while.
Yeah.
And then my third car was a Honda Accord, and then that one lasted forever. So
Hondas, they say, are really good cars.
Those are really good cars. They're unnecessarily good cars. So.
Shout out to Hondas for being good cars. I always get them confused with Hyundais.
Hyundais are the knockoffs of Hondas. They last almost the same amount, but just under enough where they don't. You're like, as soon as it ends, you're like, damn, I should have got a Honda.
Yeah.
That's what Hyundais are for.
That's what the commercial should be. Damn, should have got a Honda. Well, I have to say, I'm so happy to be talking to you, Rob. Obviously, this is our first time meeting virtually, and I'm on the East Coast, you're on the West Coast, but I find your comedy to be I'm very drawn in by you as a comedian. I find you to be that. Yeah, you're very warm and welcoming, but you're also obviously hysterical. And when would you say that you started doing comedy?
Oh shit. I'm about to reach my 10. I can't believe I haven't even thought about this. I'm about to reach my 10-year mark. I started now 10 years ago. It was February the 25th. It was my 25th birthday.
Okay.
My birthday is on the 14th of February. And
ooh, a Valentine's Day, baby.
I know, it sucks. My friend, so the whole story behind that is my best friend, I've known him since I was 6. He was living in Arizona, came back, and we used to do this routine. We go out to bars. I'd be the one, the gabber. I'd get the girls tied up in a conversation.
Yeah.
They'd laugh. I'd get them drinks. He'd come over. We'd play, odds and ends. I'd come up with a stupid bit. They'd laugh. And after a while, he started to realize, you're doing a routine. Like, this is a routine thing.
Yeah.
Every time we go out, you have a set 2 or 3 jokes that always work. You get numbers. We go home. We get luck. Like, it's a thing.
It's awesome.
You should do stand-up. And I was like, bro, get the fuck out of my face. There's like, what is that? Like, you mean stand at a mic and just tell jokes?
Yeah.
He's like, yeah. So turn 25. He's like, listen, how about this? There's a competition I signed you up for in town. You go to the club, you do the 5-minute set. If you're god awful at it, I'll never ask you to do it again. I came in second place, and I've never stopped since. I've been doing it. So yeah, that's how I got started.
Isn't it interesting that there are so many stand-up origin stories that stem from a friend being like, this is who you are. You are this. Yeah, it's incredible. And you're still friends with him, right?
Yes, it's my best friend. He's back home. You know what it is? It's because as a comedian, what we're all searching for every time we get on that stage is to be comfortable. We're looking at how to be our truest self in a moment. And the reason why it always starts with a friend or a family member or something like that is because when we are our most relaxed is when we're with family and friends.
Yes.
And when we're our most selves. So we're talking shit, we're speaking off the handles, and people are like, oh, they're entertained because they love us and they're giving us that validation. So that's why that insight always comes from them, because they're like, oh, you're good at this thing. Like, you're good at being funny and charismatic. And you're like, oh, stop. Knock it off. Right. It just so happens I had like a really determined friend who was like, you're gonna get us out of here.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was good. Man, it just hit me that it's like gonna be 10 years.
Well, congratulations on that. That's incredible. That's a long time to be doing anything. And you start to, every year of being in comedy, you start to realize who's kind of sticking around, who's staying, who's got their foot on the gas, and who's kind of falling off. And I don't do stand up. I'm an improviser in the city, but I'm friends with a lot of stand ups, and those two communities can kind of overlap a bit. And I find it interesting, and I wonder if you feel the same, where you see people who you've seen around the scene for a while, you almost become grandfathered into being friends with them because you recognize them. Oh, I remember them. They're still doing it. And then you almost talk to them. You gravitate towards each other just from seeing each other around.
It's like prison. That's what it is. It's like prison. When you are in prison, you kind of meld to the group that you feel safer with, right? And the one that's like the OG that's been there the longest is the one you're gonna like kind of cuddle up to, because they're like, hey, keep these guys off my back, please.
Yeah.
And they teach you the trades and the tricks and stuff like that. And then as you become the one who's been there longer or the longest, you become that, right? And now it's you and the OG and the young buck that's like that sees, oh, that's where I want to be, right? So it's comedy weeds out the people that are not in it for real, the ones that are kind of just like flying past. And speaking candidly, that gets annoying, because like you're basically every show, everything that you're trying to get, there's always somebody that's just in the way, and that person that's in the way happens to have like a flash in the pan, right? And then they're done, and you're like, well, fuck. You're here and you don't even want it. You don't want it like the rest of us want it, So it's comedy is definitely a battle. It's definitely like I love it. I think I love telling jokes more than I hate waiting for something to happen, or like waiting for an opportunity. I love the payoff way more. So yeah.
And in your heart it's coming, right? You feel it. You can feel that feeling that you'll know.
Yes, it's one of those things of like when I came out to New York, I was there for a week and a half or whatnot, and it was just every show I didn't miss. And when you have those weeks, those nights, you're just like, oh, this is exactly where I'm supposed to be, because I couldn't do this in an office. I couldn't talk to these people this way. I couldn't get this reaction anywhere else. So it starts to settle in your mind like, oh, this is going to take off. Every time my phone goes off and it's another follower or somebody commenting on like a video clip I put up, that's like momentum that like, oh, this is resonating with people.
This is working.
Now I just need a wider net. I'm just casting wider. So yeah, you get that feeling, and then that's when you just buckle down and go even harder. So
yeah. And that's awesome that your attitude is that way, because there's so many people who, even if maybe on the inside that's their attitude, they are not comfortable being vulnerable enough to say that they get the pleasure of a comment, they get the pleasure of a like, they get the pleasure of a follow. It's the ego. The ego gets in the way, and when ego is in your way, especially in a career in entertainment, you can't go far.
No, not at all. What I tell people is like, you can't. Comedy's not cool. Like you're up there and you're naked, and like when you say something that doesn't work, you look like a fool.
Yeah.
What you're doing is not a cool thing. So to like try and be like, oh, when someone says like, hey, I thought you were really funny, or they share your video, to act like that doesn't like get you excited is so stupid to me.
Right.
Because that's all you want. You want people to be like, oh, you are good at this. You are funny.
Yeah.
So why not like I feel like if you don't take those moments and get excited or have the pleasure and like, hey, that joke that I spent a month on trying to refine, somebody actually got and loved. If you don't take the moment to celebrate that, you will always be miserable in this business. You will always like, oh, I'm not where I want to be. I'm not. If you're not taking those individual moments and just like tallying those up, you're gonna wear yourself out. You're gonna give up.
Absolutely. So, do you find that you're a goal-oriented person?
For me, yes, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I write my goals on my medicine cabinet mirror. So when I wake up in the morning, I'm like, this is it. They're goals throughout the year. And if I'm looking at it every day in my mind, it's like, oh, so then everything I'm doing today is to get to that. I have 3 goals, and it's like, okay, when I can check these off is by going out night after night. That's either hitting a mic. So right now in LA, we don't have many mics where like COVID is like not making it as accessible as it was.
Right.
So the best thing to get up on shows now is to go show up, introduce yourself, hang out in the room, be supportive.
Yeah.
And people start booking you. And
be
it's
seen.
Like, yeah, be seen, be out, be present. I have a tape. I send the tape out. They invite me to come out and do a set. And that's, I mean, that's a slower process because it's not like I'm at a mic and somebody sees me be funny and then they're like, hey, I run this show. Can you come do a set at my show? And blah, 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 blah. So it becomes a more who you know type thing.
Yeah. And that's anything too.
And that is anything.
Yeah.
That's what it comes down to. But it does like, but at the same time, the flip side of that is why I kind of missed being in New York and traveling in New York so much. Is because New York is kind of, you might say it's not, but I feel like New York is more meritocracy than LA is.
Honestly, I don't know what that word means. So educate me on the word meritocracy.
So, meritocracy is basically, if you're good, then you're going to get put up. People are going to travel to you. People are going to give you the opportunity. It's kind of like work hard, you're going to get rewarded for working hard.
Okay.
Now you're going to get, in every place you go to, there's going to be people that are like, well, that's my friend, I'm just going to give them a shot. And that friend could suck. But in New York, I feel like when you're funny, like good at like stand up and like words and people and just being funny, people fuck with you. Yeah. And out here, it's more so like, what can you give me? And that's the difference of like the cities is here. It's like, what can you give me? What can you do for me? How can you make me feel about a product versus your product?
I see exactly what you're saying. For New York, you're saying on the New York stand-up scene, if you have somebody who's really great, it's a better look for your show if you put them on. That's what they are giving you. They're giving you their time and talent, and you're giving them 10 minutes of stage time and $15 maybe. You know what I mean? But they are enhancing your show. Where in LA, it's like, okay, Rob, you can do my show. You're funny enough to do my show, this, that, and the third, but what do I now get? You're like, well, I just gave you my get. I'm your get. This is what you get.
For sure. And what it is like, well, can you get me hooked up to Comedy Central? Can you introduce me to this person? Do you know that? Like, that's all it is. It's just a cesspool of that. And it takes the love out of it because like, I feel like, and again, I visit New York and I'm there for weeks on a time. So it's not like I live there, but my whole thing is like, I felt more love from a community that I wasn't technically a part of, more so than I do in LA.
Wow.
Like there's a crew that I run with. They're like, yo, you're funny. We're funny together. We'll put shows on together. We'll get other funny people. And there's people that have like movements out here. But in New York, it felt like when you're funny, you're kind of part of the funny fraternity.
Yes.
And like, there's more of that than there is less of like, hey, what can you like, if I put you up, can you introduce me to this person or who do you know or blah, blah, blah. And it's just, it makes it difficult to move forward. But at the end of the day, when you want to like have a screenplay or be in a writer's room, this is a place you have to be.
This is the place. Yeah. Because you have a very, and I know you're originally from the East Coast, but just like recognizing both being from the East Coast, you have a very East Coast energy. And I talked to a lot of comedians from LA and who've been in LA for many years, but there is something about an East Coast energy that you just get. And I think that says a lot about New York comedians. And this is nothing against LA comedians, because LA comedians are fucking fantastic and hilarious and killing it. But I agree with that fraternity level. And I agree that when a great comedian from LA like yourself comes to New York, there's no surprise to me that they're welcoming you with open arms. You're part of the club already. There's no question. Whereas maybe if a New York comedian goes to LA, they gotta kind of be like, hey, but remember when you came and I let you on my show? Could I?
Yeah.
There's more of a struggle. So, and I bet that gets, the longer people are in the game and the more credits behind a belt, like that becomes less and less.
Yeah, for sure. So that's it. That's the ultimate goal right now, is get myself a late night set, getting to a writer's room. And those are my two goals. That's literally, I'm not one of these comedians that's like, I need to be in movies, I need to be rich and famous. I literally just want to make honest living just doing this. I love jokes so much.
Yeah.
Right? I love the reaction. I love the smile. I love the being able, it's the quickest way to connect to somebody.
Absolutely.
Right?
You get on the same page like that.
Exactly. I always, whenever I'm like, I don't know, say you're in the waiting room of a doctor's office or the DMV, and I'm sitting next to somebody, the quickest way for me to connect to that person, to be like, man, this sucks, is to make a joke.
Yeah.
And for them to be like, oh my God, I didn't even think about that. And then have a quick laugh. That's the quickest way to communicate with somebody and find your tribe. And that's what I love about joke telling. And to just write and be like, create a show or be on a show where I'm able to like give voices to people that don't normally get their voice spoken for or spoken up for. That's my ultimate goal. So yeah, that's it. That's literally it. And it's just living in LA is a task. And I feel like New York is too, but it's a different one. It's a very, I don't know, that whole saying like, if you can make it in New York, you can make it anywhere, is absolutely true. It's just, it's a jungle there. I just feel like out here, things just move slower. People are slower. Everything's like calmer. No one feels like a sense of urgency, which is why things are always pushed back and are always late.
Yeah, it's very urgent here. I almost feel that same. It's definitely toxic productivity too. I feel that urge where if I'm like, I could be doing something for the show, or I could be watching like Curb Your Enthusiasm on the couch smoking a joint. What do I pick? Oh man, this is so tough. And then, you end up on the couch at 2 a.m. like, now I'll do it. I've earned this. God damn it. I've earned this. But there's a big sense of toxic productivity here, and I am a victim of it myself. But I will say this: you said you want to be on a late night set. You want to have that, which you will, and I look forward to watching you on it and cheering you on, because it's coming. It's coming, baby. It's coming.
I appreciate it.
But I have to ask, do you have a preference? When you envision yourself on that late night set, whose show do you see yourself on? Or does it matter?
If at first it was Fallon. At first it was Fallon. Just because like I've always wanted to wear a suit. Mm-hmm. Like I've always wanted to be that guy that walks out in like an all black suit and like just 1, 2, and 3, right? And just get these jokes out.
Yeah.
And just have that classic silhouette. And then Comedy Central started doing cool shit where they were putting, it up on the web. And it felt more personable. It felt more organic. It felt like something I could shoot myself, but it's Comedy Central and it's their budget. But then things got harder because Conan went away, and Conan was a fun one because it's Conan. And that was the the jokes. Like you go to Conan for the jokes.
Yeah.
And then once I went through I want Fallon, I want Conan, and then maybe I want Comedy Central. And then Colbert started doing it. Then it was just like, I just want a set.
Yeah.
I think that's all. Kimmel would be cool. I don't think I would really bang with James Gordon just because James isn't really my style of humor. But again, if somebody offers me the spot and they're like, hey, we want to showcase you.
Yeah.
Who am I to say no, right?
Right. So right now, I would say you'll take anyone because it would be just such a huge, monumental thing for your career. Yeah. But right now, the focus would be let's get you on Jimmy Fallon.
Yeah. Right.
All right, everybody listening right now, just take a deep breath. Picture Rob in his suit. Is it going to be a black suit, Rob?
Black suit, all black.
All black suit.
Shirt, black
What kind of shoes? Because I'm envisioning it right now. What kind of shoes we got on?
I'm going all black shoes too. It might
all
be
black shoes?
Yeah, all black shoes. I'm old school church shoes.
Okay, old school church shoes. We're gonna need we gotta need like a mop or something because the drip is insane. The drip is everywhere. I'm seeing you on Fallon. The Roots is off to the left. The crowd is going crazy because COVID's calmed down a little bit, so they might still be in masks, but that whole room is full, and you just crushed it. You just crushed it on Fallon. Yeah. So congratulations. And Thank also, you. I want to put this in there. If you end up doing another late night set, you could still wear that all black suit.
I could. Now, I could
and you should, because that's what you want and that's the vision. So I look forward to that. If anybody wants to follow Rob, you can follow him at Robbie_Smalls on Instagram and Twitter, on robsmallwood.com. And anything else you'd like to plug, Rob?
No, there's nothing to plug. I'm just all around LA right now doing shows. I will be back in New York in a couple of months. So that's pretty much it. That's it. We're just doing the usual.
Let me know when you're in New York. I will come and see you live. I look forward to it. Rob, this has been an absolute pleasure. You are a dream and a joy. And I always, Wild Nights, we love the raunchy, we love the debaucherous, but it's always also good to get a story that's wild, that doesn't fall under that kind of category, something kind of different. So thank you for delivering with the different. And thank you for being you. You're a wonderful guest, Rob. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. We'll talk soon. Bye.